Alright guys, I am back again with another deck profile for Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days on Nintendo Switch. This time I got version 1 of my Dark States Time Stamping Dragon deck. So version 1, everything through the additional special set, so through a fraction of the booster set 11. And this deck is another deck focused on one of the standalone promo boss units with Time Stamping Dragon. And this deck revolves around binding your own rearguards in order to either buff up your Vanguard attack or superior call new units from your deck in order to gain extra attacks and or extra drive checks during that turn. So I will say up front with this deck that it doesn't have any dedicated support of its own. This boss did get one dedicated promo card support, but it is not in Dear Days. So not only do you have to scrap together a ride line, you also have to rely on all generic support for this deck. So it is pretty much more on the just for fun kind of side. But with that being said, we will go ahead and go through the deck, and then we'll show it off in one card fight. So starting first for the ride deck, I am repurposing the generic ride deck from the Favernil stand-up deck set for this deck. So our grade 0 starter is Clockhands Draco Kid. So when he's rode upon, if you win second, draw a card. Same old starter skill. Next for the grade 1, we have Divigating Chopper. So his auto ability says when this unit is rode upon, you draw a card and choose a card from your hand and discard it. So, extremely generic ability. It is just a hand filter, nothing real special there. It doesn't give you an advantage or anything, but it can help you cycle some bad cards out of your hand to maybe get something better. So, next for the grade 2, we have Gear Rhinos of Barreling Impulsion. So he has a continuous ability that says when you would ride from the ride deck, you can ride with Soul Blast 1 instead of choosing a card from your hand and discarding it. So it gives you an alternate ride deck cost, letting you Soul Blast instead of discard. So that will help you preserve some card advantage, giving you essentially a free ride in terms of card advantage anyway. So definitely always want to use that alternate cost. Soul is very easy to build up in this deck, so that won't be any sort of an issue. So, just a nice card to help keep your hand intact. And then lastly for the grade 3, we have Time Stamping Dragon. So he has two auto abilities that actually work in conjunction with each other. So the first one says when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can counterblast one to choose one of your rearguards with a different card name as cards in your bind zone and bind it. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may choose 2 cards each with different card names instead of 1. So then his second auto ability, which ties in with that, says when your rearguard is bound by this unit's effect, if that card's original grade is 3 or greater until end of turn, this unit gets triple drive and power plus 10,000. And if it is not, you search your deck for up to 1 card with grade equal to that card's grade plus 1, call it to a rearguard circle, and it gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn, and shuffle the deck. So his first ability will trigger his second ability either once or twice, depending on the grade of your opponent's Vanguard. So depending on what grade units you have out on your board and which ones you bind for his first ability, assuming you can get the 2 binds off of the first skill, this ability can either give you 5 attacks in 1 turn or 4 attacks with triple drive on your Vanguard swing. So either way, this skill ultimately will be a ±0, since you're either binding a unit and replacing it with a new unit, or binding a unit and getting an extra drive check. So there's a few different ways you can go about this, and it kind of depends on, what cards you have access to at the moment. But ideally, I usually like binding a grade 3 and a grade 2 off of this. So that way the grade 3 will give your Vanguard the extra power and the extra drive check, and then the grade 2 will let you superior call a new grade 3 directly from your deck and power it up as well. So that gives you 3 trigger chances and 4 attacks in that turn, and you'll already have another grade 3 out on your board for next turn to bind again, assuming your opponent doesn't take it out in some way, of course. So generally speaking, that is the primary play I go for. Alternatively, you could bind a grade 3 and a grade 1 behind it. Like if you attack with that column first, you can bind the entire column and give your Vanguard the extra power and drive check, and then Superior Call a grade 2 from your deck. So that can be another option to still get that full combo. If you don't have any grade 3s to bind, you can bind 2 grade 2s or a grade 2 and a grade 1 or whatever from your front row, and Superior Call 2, grade +1 units from your deck. So you'll get 5 attacks instead, and both those 2 extra rearguard attacks will get the 10k, but you still will only get the standard twin drive on your Vanguard attack that turn, and you won't be able to power up your center column any. So ultimately, your mileage may vary with this skill depending on the situation. You do have to keep track of quite a few different things, since he has to bind cards with different names from any card that's already in your bind zone. That means you can't bind another copy of something you've already bound that game, which is why most of the cards in this deck are being run at either 1 or 2 ofs to give us as many different names as possible. So you have to keep track of the different names in your bind zone, as well as what grades you have left in your deck, so you don't, like bind a grade 2 and try to call a grade 3 and you don't have any grade 3s left in your deck, then you just won't get anything out of that skill. So it can be a little clunky at times, but when you can get the full combo off, it can be a pretty cool Vanguard. So that is the ride deck. Moving on to the main deck, first off for the grade 3s, we of course have our 3 additional copies of Time Stamping Dragon for our Persona ride purposes. Again, no fancy double frame rare or anything, since he's just a promo card. So next up, we got 2 copies of Heat Haze Acrobat Miroslava. So her auto ability says when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand during your main phase, you can counterblast 1 to choose a card with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from your soul and put it into your hand if you chose a card with the same card name as your Vanguard, and call it to rearguard circle if you did not. And if you put a card into your hand, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So, a good card to play from your hand. Obviously, if you Superior Call her off of Time Stamping's skill, then you won't be able to use this ability. But if you normal call her from your hand, then you can do a Counterblast 1 for a +1 to either get a Persona Ride copy into your hand or a rearguard onto your board, which we have quite a few different ways in this deck to get stuff into our soul. So, if you get any good units into your soul, then this can pull them back out, either to be a unit on your board, or, again, to get that Persona Ride copy in your hand to set up for next turn. And if you do put the Persona Ride copy, she also powers herself up as well. So, just a helpful, versatile card in letting you toolbox from your soul a little bit. So, next up, we have 2 copies of Causality Dragon Crucial Dragon. So he has a continuous ability when he's on rearguard or guardian circle. This is if your opponent's drive check or damage check revealed a trigger unit this turn. This unit gets power plus 10,000, shield plus 10,000. So helping mitigate those triggers your opponent gets, if they get a damage trigger during your turn, then he gains the extra power to make up for it. And if they get a drive trigger during their turn, then he becomes a 10k shield in your hand, giving you a little extra defense to help make up for that as well. And then he also has his auto ability that says once per turn, when this unit attacks a Vanguard while not boosted, you can put another rearguard in the same column as this unit into your soul and perform all of the following. So you can choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. And then you can also remove an over trigger from your drop, and your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards from hand to guardian circle until end of that battle. So this is a very good card to Superior Call off of Time Stamping skill, since if you had your back row unit that you would call him in front of boost your first rearguard attack that turn, then you can empty out that circle by binding the front row unit and then call him in front of a rested grade 1 in your back row. So then when you attack with him unboosted, you can then shove that grade 1 rearguard behind him into the soul, which will allow you to take out one of your opponent's rearguards and gain an extra 5k, and potentially get the guard restrict ability on top of that if you have an over trigger in your drop zone, which obviously isn't going to happen a ton of the time, but, you know, if you do have it set up, it is a cool option. So, can be a kind of cool skill. It is a -1 to you to -1 your opponent. So, it's not great in terms of card advantage, but if you're playing against a control deck and your board's going to get wiped anyway, then this can just be a way to turn that card into a resource while also picking apart your opponent's board. So, overall, a pretty cool card. So, next we got one copy of Execution Dragon Vorpal Scythe Dragon. So he has an activate ability that says once per turn you can Soul Blast 2 to choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. And then he also has his auto ability that says when this unit's attack hits, you may Soul Charge 2. So he's another retiring option to help you pick apart your opponent's board if you have that extra soul built up. And he's also a good pressure unit, since if his attack hits, you can Soul Charge 2 to either get more units into your Soul to Toolbox with some of our other abilities, or to just pay for his cost more your next turn. So not really a vital card for this deck strategy, but you know, it's a generic card with a different name. So I just threw it in as a one of. So next we also have one copy of Desire Devil Hystera. So his auto ability says when this unit attacks, this unit gets power plus 2,000 until end of turn for each of your standing rear guards. And if your damage zone has 5 or more cards, it gets power plus 5,000 instead of plus 2,000. So just a simple beat stick unit. Again, it's a generic unit with a different name, so that's mostly why I'm running it. But if you do him as your first attack that turn, he can get a pretty good power up, especially if you are already at 5 damage. So yeah, he's just here to be a beat stick, nothing real special there. So then lastly for the grade 3s, we just have one copy of our normal order Regales piece, Gradius Greydall. So there's no cost to play it, and you can play it if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Persona Ride and you did not ride this turn, and it lets you activate Persona Ride. So just another option to get that Persona Ride off, since you're getting 4 to 5 attacks per turn with this deck. Powering up all those attacks is obviously very helpful. So yeah, just another nice option to get that more consistently. So that is all the grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s. First off, we have two copies of Servant Falcratia. So she has two auto abilities. First one says when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, you choose up to one Dark States card from your drop, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of that battle for each grade of that card, and then you put that chosen card into your soul. And then she has her second ability that only works if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, which obviously you're not going to have in this deck, so that second skill is not usable. But her first skill just turns her into a pretty good beat stick. If you have a grade 2 or 3 in your drop, you can go ahead and shove it into soul and give her 10 to 15k extra power. So she's a nice attacking unit while also helping you build up your soul and looping some hopefully higher grade cards from your drop back into your soul over and over again. So can help mitigate some of the Soul Blast cost in this deck and also power herself up. So yeah, just another nice offensive card. So next we also have two copies of Black Sky Thunder Quaking Queen, Laymina. So she also has two auto abilities. First one says when this card is discarded from hand during your ride phase, you can Soul Blast one and put this card on the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So a way to mitigate your ride deck costs. Of course, one of our ride deck cards already changes the discard cost to a Soul Blast. But when you're doing your other rides, you can still get the skill off. And since she doesn't specifically have to be discarded for the ride deck, just discarded during the ride phase, if you draw off of Divigating Chopper's skill and then you discard her, then you can activate her skill in that instance as well. So that can be another option to get that early card advantage as well. And then she also has her second auto ability that says when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, if you Persona Road this turn, you can Counterblast 1 to choose a card from your soul and call it to rearguard circle. And if you called a card, you may Soul Charge 1. So again, another skill that can't be used if you superior call her off of time stamping. But if you normal call her from your hand and you Persona Road that turn, she can be another way to toolbox out of your soul, letting you grab any unit you want onto your rearguard circle. And then she also lets you Soul Charge 1 to replace that unit in your soul. So it doesn't even decrease your soul count any. So yeah, just another nice toolboxing card as well. So next we have 2 copies of Amazement Magician. So her auto ability says when this unit attacks, you may soul charge 1. So a very simple skill, just helping you build up that soul for our various soul blast costs. So nothing real special there. Next we have 1 copy of Clean Sweep Dragon. So he has an activate ability that says once per turn, if you Persona Road this turn, you can counterblast 1 to choose up to a total of 3 of your or your opponent's rear guards, and you and your opponent put those chosen rear guards into your own souls, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn for each card chosen by this effect. So this can be another really cool option to absolutely obliterate your opponent's board. He can potentially be a -3 to your opponent, while also powering himself up by 15k. So he's a really cool beat stick. He can destroy your opponent's board. You can use him to put your own cards into the soul if you really need the soul resources, but of course you'll be minusing yourself if you do that. So that's not the best play. You usually want to target your opponent's cards with this ability. But yeah, he's just a beat stick and a control card that can be pretty good. So next we have 1 copy of Selfish Engraver. So her first auto ability says when this unit's attack hits, you soul charge 1. So again, another soul charging option. And her second auto ability says at the end of the battle this unit attacks, if your soul has 10 or more cards, you can put this unit into your soul and counter charge 1. So she can be a counter charge option for this deck, but honestly you don't get to use that skill very much. Since we have so many soul blasting costs, you usually don't have 10 or more in your soul at any given time. Unless you just get really lucky with some of your soul charging skills and then, you know, don't use any soul blasting costs or whatever. So most of the time you're not going to meet the requirements to get that counter charge off. But yeah, again, I just threw her in because she's a generic different name and she can be mildly useful. So yeah. So then lastly for the grade 2s, I have 1 copy of Shadow Leak Magician. So she has her continuous ability that says this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So again, a very simple skill, just giving you that little extra protection where she can't be chosen. So can be good against certain control decks. Again, not anything really, you know, world-shattering or anything, but, you know, different name and generic, mildly useful skill. So that's enough to earn you a slot in this deck. So that is all the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s. First off, we have 2 copies of Steam Battler Gunram. So he has his auto ability that says when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you soul charge 1. So again, another soul charging ability. And then his activate skill that says once per turn, you can soul blast 3 and draw a card. So this is the primary draw engine for this deck. Again, we have a multitude of ways to build up that soul. So you get a 3 soul, and then you blast them out in order to just get some extra card advantage into your hand. If you want to, you could bump this card up to higher numbers if you want to be able to more consistently get that draw. But I am prioritizing, you know, having as many different names as possible. But yeah, overall one of the most important cards in the deck. So next we got 2 copies of Falcate Performer. So his auto ability says when this unit boosts, you choose up to 1 card from your drop, and if your soul does not have a card with the same grade as that card, you put it into your soul. So another way to help build up that soul, grabbing cards from your drop. It does have to be a card that you don't already have the same grade in your soul, so a little less consistent. But if you do a lot of soul blasting with like Vorpal Scythe or Gunram or whatever, you can empty out most of your soul with those skills, so you should be missing at least 1 grade to grab with this card. So next we got 1 copy of Brainwash Swirler. So he has 2 auto abilities. First one, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you soul charge 1. So again, soul charging, which also triggers a second ability that says when your card is put into your soul by soul charge, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So on the turn you call him, his first skill will trigger this at least once, so he'll be at least 13k on that turn, assuming you're at grade 3. And of course he can reach much higher numbers if you use a lot of your other soul charging abilities in that same turn. That second ability will stack for each one. So he can hit some pretty good numbers and just be a big booster or potentially a big attacker if you need to put him in your front row. So next we have one copy of Steam Shooter Puanum. So she has a continuous ability that says during your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So just a generic 13k body, but again, she can be a good thing to put in your front row if you need to, and she can at least poke your opponent's Vanguard, and then you can bind her and call a grade 2 if you need to from your deck. So a nice fill in any slot you need kind of card. So next we have one copy of Steam Gunner Remoosh. So her continuous ability says during the battle this unit boosted, if your soul has 5 or more cards, this unit gets power plus 2,000 and your opponent cannot intercept. So once again, getting the 5 cards in your soul isn't the most consistent thing in the world if you're using like Gungram a lot or something. But if you can get that soul built up, she'll be a 10k booster that also gives a slight guard restrict. So again, not a super vital card, but like always, generic card with a different name. So the only other grade ones we have are Sentinels. So first off, we have 3 copies of Steam Maiden R Limb. Just your standard Perfect Guard. I did go with the Encounter Perfect Guard, just for aesthetic reasons. And then also 1 copy of the Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, which you can play without paying the cost if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive. So that is all the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s, we just have our trigger lineup, which is 7 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, and 1 over. So starting first with the crit triggers, we have 4 copies of Stem Deviate Dragon. So crit with a skill at the end of battle at boosted, you can put it into your soul, give one of your units plus 2k until end of turn. So don't use that skill very much in this deck, really, but it is an option to get more soul, I guess. Additionally, we also have 3 copies of Lively Breath Dragon, so just your vanilla crit. Next for the draws, we have 4 copies of Rouse Wildmaster Riley. So draw with a skill if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, shield plus 5,000. So you're a 10k shield draw trigger. Then for the heals, we have 4 copies of Steam Skara Mal Nigal. So just a vanilla heal, of course, as always. If you want to run any effect heals, you can. And then lastly for our over trigger, we have our 1 copy of Hades Dragon Deity of Resentment, Galmage held. So his additional effect says you get, during your turn, all of your Vanguards get power plus 10,000, critical plus 1, until end of this fight. So granting the skill to the player, giving you basically a permanent crit trigger onto your Vanguard. So I did decide just to go with the regular Dark States over trigger. If you would prefer running either of the nationless ones, you can feel free to use those. I just mostly stuck with this one because I felt like it. So that is the deck. So we will go ahead and have our 1 fight with it. And let's see, I think we'll fight Jinky this time. And we will be going second. Alright, so we'll discard Lamina to ride. And our starter skill will let us draw. And then Lamina's skill will let us Soul Blast and send her to the bottom. And we can draw again. And with that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and attack. And he guards. And I think I'll let that one through. Alright, so I'll discard. I think I'll drop Clean Sweep actually. To ride. And Divigating Chopper will let us draw and discard again. So we'll drop Remoosh. And let's see, I think I will just go ahead and attack. And he guards again. And now we'll Superior Ride into Griffo Gila. But he could not get his third Dragon Tree marker. So his Vanguard will only have one crit. So let's see, we'll guard that one. And Griffo Gila skill let him remove one of his calamities. He puts his rear guard to soul to gain 5k. So that's just one crit, so I'll let it through. And he gets a heal trigger when she has nothing to heal. And I think I let that one through too. Alright, so now we can use Gear Rhinos' ability to Soul Blast to ride into Time Stamping Dragon. So I'm gonna go ahead and call Brainwar Swirler over here actually, and we'll use his ability to Soul Charge, which will trigger his other ability to gain 5k. So then we'll go ahead and call Gunram to back row center, and his ability will let us Soul Charge again, which will again power up Swirler by another 5k. So then, let's see, we'll go ahead and call Vorpal Scythe over there, and we'll call Falcate Performer, and let's see, we'll put him on that side. And we'll use Gunram's ability to Soul Blast 3. And drop. And with that, I think we are good to go. So we will go ahead and attack with Vorpal Scythe first, boosted by Falcate. And we'll use Falcate's ability to put any card we want into the soul, since we don't have any grades in our soul right now. So we'll just throw Draco Kid back in there. He gets a crit trigger. But Vorpal Scythe did hit, so we can use his ability to Soul Charge too. And we Soul Charged our over trigger. But that did trigger Brainwar Swirler's ability 2 more times, giving him an extra 10k. So then we will attack with Brainwire Swirler. And he guards. So then we can attack with Time Stamping Dragon. And we'll use his ability to counterblast one. And we can bind 2 different cards this time, so we will bind Vorpal Scythe and Brainwire Swirler, which triggers his second ability twice to let us give our Vanguard an extra drive check and 10k, and then also Superior Call a grade 2 from the deck. So we will call out Falcracia and put her over here, and she gains 10k. And we'll get a heal trigger, which we do get, so we will heal 1 and give that power to Falcracia. Which time stamping has a really cool attack animation in this game. So then once again we'll attack with Falcracia, and we can use her skill to shove a card from drop into the soul. So let's see, we'll grab Crucial Dragon, and she'll gain 15k since he's a grade 3. And he lets that one through too. And it gets a front trigger that is wasted. But he does get his Persona Ride. And he got his Dragon Tree Wretch, so he does get his 3rd Dragon Tree marker. So let's see. I am going to go ahead and guard that one so he won't get his on-hit skill. And that is really big and 2 crits, so I think I'm going to perfect guard that one. And let's see, we'll discard, and we'll drop that Regale's piece, I guess. And he gets a crit trigger. And let's see, that's 2 crits, but I'm only at 2 damage. Guess I'll go ahead and block it. Alright, so now we can Persona Ride. So first I'm going to go ahead and use Gungram's ability again to Soul Blast. And then we can draw. And then I'll call one of these Miroslavas over here and use her ability to Counterblast. And we'll grab that time stamping from her soul and put it back to hand. And she'll gain 5k. So we have 1 grade 3 in the soul, and that is all. So we'll call another Falcate Performer. And I think we are all set up. So we can go ahead and attack. And I'm going to attack with Falcratia first. And we'll use Falcate's skill. And let's see, we'll put Remushian from the drop. And then Falcratia's skill will also let us put... let's see, we'll put that copy of time stamping just to gain 15k. And he lets that one through. And he gets a crit trigger. So then we'll attack with Miroslava. Not boosted. And he guards. So then we'll attack with Time Stamping Dragon. And we can use his ability to counterblast. And again, we bind two with different names, so we'll bind Falcratia and Miroslava. So again, our Vanguard gains 10k in triple drive, and we can superior call a grade 3, so we're going to call out Crucial Dragon. Put him over there. And he perfect guards. And we get a draw trigger. So we'll give that power to Crucial Dragon. So we'll go ahead and attack with Crucial Dragon. And we can use his ability to shove Falcate into Soul. And then we can retire one of his rear guards, so we'll take out one of his intercepts. And gain 5k. And we could go for the guard restrict here, but he's probably going to let that through, so I'm actually not going to do that. Yeah, he let it through anyway. So we got him to 5 with that one. He does get his persona red. And let's see, I will let that one through. And Esperaridia will get to restand. So I'm going to go ahead and perfect guard that one with Sanctitude. And we will discard. And I'll drop one of those time stampings. And he gets a heal trigger, which he does get. Which powers up Crucial Dragon by 10k. And he gets a draw trigger on top of that. So I think I'll let that one through too. And that's a whopping 63,000, so I'm gonna let that through as well. And we get a heal trigger, which we do get, so we will heal 1. And the power won't matter, because he doesn't have any more attacks. Alright, so once again we will Persona Ride. So let's see, I am going to go ahead and call Lamina and use her ability to Counter Blast. And we can call one out from our soul, so I'm going to call Remoosh. And we'll go ahead and soul charge. And I only have 8 cards left, so I'm actually not going to use Gunram skill. So I think we're ready to go. So we will attack with Crucial Dragon first. He let that one through. So then I'm going to go ahead and attack with Time Stamping, actually. Because I don't have any grade 3s left in the deck, I don't believe. So we'll use Time Stamping's ability to Counter Blast. And we bind 2, so we'll bind Crucial Dragon and Remoosh. So we get the 10k and the triple drive. And then we can Superior Call a grade 2 from the deck, which I only have 1 of. So I guess we're calling Lamina. And she gains 10k as well. As he perfect guards again. But we get a crit trigger, so we're going to give both those effects to our left Lamina. And a heal trigger on top of that, which we do not get, but we'll give that power again to the left Lamina. Oh wow, and another crit, so we triple triggered. So I'm going to give those to the right Lamina. And then both those will be at 2 crits. So then, let's see, we'll attack with the right Lamina first. And he perfect guards again. He's only got 1 card left in his hand, and we got 1 more attack. So again, we'll attack with our left Lamina, boosted by Falcate. Which, let's check the soul real fast. We don't have any grade 2s, so we can use Falcate's skill and shove a grade 2 in, even though it's probably irrelevant at this point. Yep, he's got to let it through. And that's 2 crits, so we should have him. And yep, we got him with that one. So there you go, that was my Time Stamping Dragon deck. Like I said, this deck is a little bit more just on the just for fun side, but it can be a pretty cool deck just to kind of dick around with. So anyway, I will be back soon with more deck profiles. I believe next up I'll be doing my Messiah deck. So until then, I guess that's all for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.